Welcome to the podcast. My name is Pastor Kevin Robertson, and this podcast is simply called This Is My Story. Now, let me give you a little introduction to this, because it was yesterday I was going for my walk, and I was thinking about a lot of things and issues that were going on in our society, and this person just came to my mind. And I was thinking, there was a conversation I had with him about 15 to 17 years ago that changed my perspective on what we're dealing with now. Now, I don't know if he remembers this conversation. I want to bring it up because I keep using illustration after illustration, using this particular conversation I had with this gentleman. So today, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. He's part of our church for a long time. Welcome, Julio.
Hey,
and
thank
Julio,
you for having me.
Welcome. The thing is, what's awesome about you, you are an assistant principal to a school, right?
I am. I'm an assistant principal in an elementary school in Los Angeles.
So how is that going with the online stuff? If it's like Jennifer, it ain't working.
Well, let me tell you, it's a challenge. For some kids are getting the whole experience, the whole complete experience, and some kids are getting like only a slice of the pizza right now. Yeah. So, and it's really frustrating not to actually help people to get on, but it's frustrating that we have to go through this and to have so many different issues and pitfalls that we're having to go through. I mean, I'm still hopeful, but it's just frustrating. It's frustrating seeing parents come in that tell me, my social worker told me that if I don't figure this out, that they're going to take my kids away. And I'm like, oh, don't worry about that, Yeah, I've had that kind of stuff happen. I've had parents say, well, my child needs to have his classes. And I'm like, I understand. It's just frustrating to have to see that go on.
No, Jennifer is the same way. She's totally frustrated. And and she feels, because she works in South Central, there's a lot of neighborhoods that don't have internet access. And they have to figure it out and they have to deal with it. And a lot do not know how to hook up to. It's just.
Well, right now it's not a matter of so much of resources, because we've been able to provide most of our, if not almost all of our students, with some type of resource. Right. It's a matter of, like what you're saying, is not knowing how to. Right. Yeah. And because we have iPads now, we have some Chromebooks. We need more. Like we still need. I mean, requests keep coming in, parents saying, I need an iPad or I need a Chromebook. And we're like, well, where were you when we sent out the message last month? And so now they're just coming in and saying, well, we didn't know school started. And we're like, what? It's on the news, So,
it starts in August every year.
Every year. And I'm not making these stories up. They're still coming in talking about, well, I didn't know school started yesterday. Oh, really? So, and so that's a little bit frustrating too, but having devices that really work and connect easily is the hard part.
Okay. So Julio, we've known each other for 15, 17 years.
Yeah.
I'm guessing whether it's a positive or negative for you.
Yeah, I've deleted most of the years and most of our conversations selectively. Yeah.
But I think the first time I met you was through Leo.
Yes.
It was through, I think we were doing a play here. I don't know if Leo wrote it or Siri wrote it. But it was called Grace Avenue, wasn't it?
Right.
Which was 15 or 17 years ago. And so
I played a crack addict on the street. You're right. I remember that. That's one of the ones I deleted.
And how did Leo end up playing Jesus?
We'll have to ask Jesus when we see him. Jesus, how did you let that happen?
No, that was a good play, and that took a lot of work to do that play. But the thing is, what I'm impressed about you, Julio, is that, well, let's start from the beginning. Did you grow up in Los Angeles?
I did. I grew up in Inglewood, California from the age of 5.
Okay. So tell me about your upbringing. Did you grow up in the church? Did your parents?
Yeah, I grew up.
Church or?
Both of my parents were church-going people. My mother is Catholic and my father was a Christian. And so I used to go to church twice a day. I used to go to my Catholic church at 9, and then go to my father's church at 11 a.m. Because every Christian church, for some reason or other, is 11 a.m. service, 8 and 11. Why is that? What's about the number 11? I don't know. But it made it where I could. It made it where I was able to join the church service and sing in the choir and be a part of all the youth activities, double again, right? So, and it was People's United Christian Church, People's United Church,
Okay.
Something like that. It's a very small church, but I really, some of those long-lasting relationships with those same people from that church. My father played organ there at the church. I sang there. And then I'd go, from my mother's church, I would sing in the choir. I'd sing with my mother, who sang in the choir as well. So I was very, very a church boy. And to the extent that I'm still trying to find a tape. Remember those things, tapes, where I made my own sermon and taped myself doing a sermon.
Are you serious?
We were talking about sermons earlier. Yeah, I have a whole sermon on a tape.
Oh, and you're looking for it. How old were you?
Oh, I was like 8 years old, 10 years old.
Now, growing up in the church, and this is me, I grew up in the church because my dad was a pastor. I really think kids that grow up in the church, especially that go to the church like 3 or 4 times a week, for me it was Wednesday nights, because all evangelical churches have a Wednesday night and midweek, and then we have a Sunday morning, then we have a Sunday night. Yeah. And you grew up, going to 2 services each day. I think, in my opinion, most people that grow up like that are screwed up.
Well, I don't know if I was screwed up, but I was definitely influenced by God and guilt.
Okay.
So I got the guilt from one aspect of religion. I won't blame a religion on it. I got the guilt from one aspect of religion, and I got the God from another. So it kind of really influenced how I felt about myself for my first 18 years of life.
Okay.
Which for negative, for positive, I really felt that I was connected to prayer, and I knew how to pray. They used to say that about me. Oh, that boy he knows how to pray. Okay. But then I also felt the guilt of God saying, if you're not doing X, Y, and Z, that you're going to hell. And that's not good either. So I didn't learn that God is a loving God until maybe I turned around 31.
That is interesting, because the same thing that, I think, for me, you grew up in the 70s or 80s, and that was a main topic of churches. It's almost like it was a behavior modification thing. And we want you to behave a certain way, and we're going to use the guilt of hell. Like, I don't know how many sermons I grew up that if you don't do this and don't do this, you're going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I didn't want to die, because I was thinking, what happens if I get in a car accident and right before the car accident I cuss?
Do something. Yeah.
And then that was a huge fear of mine. Like, I'm in hell because the last 2 seconds of my life I yelled the F word. Yeah,
right.
So
I mean, I still want to be able to say before I die that to reaffirm that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. But I know that He already is. I know that I've already been saved. I know that I've already accepted Him in my life as my Lord and Savior. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, I do know that. But I would love to be able to say, "Thank you, Jesus," before my last breath.
When did you discover that you were gifted in singing?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I sang ever since I was 5 years old, and people would love to hear me sing in church and stuff. And I remember one time I was in church and I was singing, and I think I either forgot the words or something happened. And one of the ladies in the church who I know today, and she kind of smiled and almost laughed, but she was laughing because I was so cute. And I remember crying and bawling because she was laughing. And then she was like, oh, I didn't mean to make him cry, but I was too young to understand. that she was laughing about how cute I was.
Right.
So I think that I realized I was gifted when I started. I don't know. That's a good question. I never realized that I was gifted until, I didn't realize I was gifted until maybe much later in my life.
I'm 50 years old. I haven't figured out anything.
That's exactly. It's like that same thing. Do I realize it now? I realize it now for sure. Right. I just don't know when it happened.
Yeah.
It just was, yeah.
So the thing is, growing up in church, and going to the Catholic Church and going to the Protestant church, were your parents like together until now, or?
Yeah, my mother was a diehard wife. My father was ill with multiple sclerosis for about 23 years, and she stuck with him until he passed.
A multiple sclerosis, that's a terrible disease, isn't it?
It is. It is a terrible disease, and I have so many friends that have multiple sclerosis right now, which is kind of I try to. Yep, that's him. Yeah. I try to be positive for them, though I know that it can either go left or can go right. And it went a little bit down the middle of the road for my father because he was still very cognitively engaged and cognitively there, but his body was not responding. And I've seen people where it goes completely left, where their body and their response is completely unintelligible, right? So you can't understand. My father he was very well spoken, and so we were fortunate that he could feed. You could put something in front of him, and he could lift his arms to feed himself, for the most part, until maybe the latter years. But I've seen some people that can't feed themselves; they can't do anything. And he was, his other bodily faculties had failed, of course. So we had to help him in a lot of ways, cleaning and bathing and, all that stuff. But he still was there. You felt him there.
How old were you when it was getting bad?
Oh, well, he died when I was 31. So let's see, he had it for 23 years. So I was 8 when I remember him being diagnosed with it. And so many years. Oh, the worst experience when I look back on it is when I used to see him fall in public. Okay. Yeah, so that was like a really, really extremely hard thing to see. He was a teacher, so he was teaching at LA Southwest College, and I remember him walking with his walker, and he just fell. And I was like maybe 10 years old. I didn't know what to do, so I helped him up, and he went on to teach, and that was really, really something that it was a night, and I'll never, ever forget that, and other things moments that I saw him first cry when his mother passed away, and we were on the plane going to see her. I went with him, and we were on the plane going to see him. And that's the first and only time I saw my father cry was that on the way there. Wow. And, so I recognize his humanity in so many different ways when he just his bodily faculties were not working and different things happened that I had to endure a lot of that too. So,
Does that, when you say you'll never forget something like that and you were 10 years old, how does that change you? Or does your perspective begin to change through those incidents like that? Because for me, with my mother, she's in stage 7 dementia. And watching my mother forget was hard to watch. And watching her look at you and not recognize who you are, and you're just going, I just hate to see the deterioration of somebody that was such an influence of my life. Because I'm a mama's boy. It's hard to see that. So I'm assuming for 23 years, that is a long time from 8 years to being 31 or 32 years old.
Well, it's not as deep as you would think it is. And when I say that's something I'll never forget is because I literally will never forget. Yeah. Because I forget everything else. I'm just one of those guys that, I look back on what did I do when I was 13? Right. When did I have my first kiss? Wait, who did I take for the prom? There's certain things I just don't remember. Yeah. But there's certain things I do remember like it was yesterday. So I either remember it like it was yesterday or I've completely forgotten it.
Totally don't forget it.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I have certain memories that are like fresh to me.
Right.
You know, and then I have certain memories that you say, Julio, don't you remember when you broke your foot? I was like, no, I don't remember that, you know, and I never broke my foot, but I'm just saying I have memories that people will say like that to me, and I'll say, I'm sorry, I don't remember.
So going back, and you know, when you don't know when you had a love for music or singing, when did you discover acting?
I discovered acting when I got into college, and I started doing some minor acting things.
Right.
I didn't participate in any theater, musicals, or plays or whatever. I didn't do it that much, but I did a lot of variety shows. Things like when they would ask me to, you know, sing on a show or whatever. And what you're seeing, the picture right now is something more recent where I did that for a Panamanian film festival. And I sang a song, and they were so great. It was so much fun. And it was about the Panama Canal.
Oh, really?
And so I love this stuff. And this is kind of what I did through college, because in college, I formed a group of 40 friends of mine. And I said, you know what? I want to compete in this contest called Spring Sing. So I got these 40 friends, and I made and couples, 20 female, 20 males, and I made couples, and I taught them a dance, and we competed in this contest called Spring Sing at UCLA in 1990, I think it was, 91. And we won this contest that had been which had been really dominated by white fraternities and white sororities.
Right.
So when I brought my brown and black faces and a little sprinkle of white and a little sprinkle of Asian into this competition and we won, I didn't realize then the impact that I probably had, because now the contest is completely a multicultural experience of different people.
Right.
And so, you know, I guess acting really didn't take off until I did something back in 2011 when I was in a TV series, and I felt like, wow, this is something that I really love doing.
Now, it's interesting. Now, you were talking about being in a TV series, and I'm not going to sing, and I'm not going to be in a TV series, but I know that even preaching, like for me, it's really hard during the pandemic because you don't get the feedback, you don't get the audience energy. And so when you're preaching online, it's like dead to me. So I appreciate more the live stuff. So for you, is it the acting you enjoy, more like in a series, or do you like theater more or singing more?
Well, okay. So if you're online, to me, my imagination is so creative that I could travel to another country right sitting here right now with you.
Right.
In fact, I've been to 5 countries since we started this conversation. And 2 planets, 5 countries.
Yeah, I'm not even in this conversation.
And 8 cities already. Yeah, so I actually can go somewhere literally in my mind. And so if I need to do something like to talk to a camera, I just go. And I become less earthly and become more spiritual, and I'd say in that aspect, right? When I'm on stage, of course, like when I was with, I'm a member of the Roby Theater Company, and we enjoy the aspect of the audience response.
Right.
One of the recent plays I did with them was called The Magnificent Dunbar Hotel, where I played Paul Laurence Dunbar, who is the ghost of the hotel. And he just sits back and he looks and he has conversations with himself the whole time.
Oh, really?
And then one of the patrons or one of the workers there actually sees ghosts, and he ends up interacting with me. I'm like, wait, you can see me? He's like, yeah. And so we have an interacting thing. And then, so the whole play is about me as embodying this hotel that has gone up and has come down.
Okay.
And I as a character, I go up the roller coaster and I come down with the roller coaster.
Oh, wow.
And so, I break the 4th wall as well. So I interact with the audience. I'm the only character that breaks the 4th wall. Wow. The 4th wall is the audience, basically.
See, to
So,
me, that
yeah.
would take a lot of concentration to do something like that.
Or lack of.
Like,
Lack of concentration. You just go. You just stop thinking about it. You just do it.
see, that's true. Now the thing is, and I've always wondered this because I've seen you sing, and to me, when people are singing, it seems like they're in a whole different realm. You know, like their body movement, their voices, what they're doing. It just seems like it's just a natural process, like
Mm.
everything in unison together. And I'm just going, why don't I have those talents? You know, and I love this picture because this was a prime example of it because
Yeah.
it's just like a natural thing for you. It just, because if I stood like that with a microphone, people would go, what are you doing? You know, but in your situation, it's smooth, you know,
Well,
when you,
this is definitely, well, I don't know if it's so smooth because I haven't mastered it yet, but this is, as I was mentioning about the Magnificent Dunbar Hotel, this is
right.
an acting thing on stage, but I haven't really, honestly, haven't mastered letting go 100%.
Okay.
Which is kind of like contradictory to what I did say. Sometimes I'm able to let go,
Right.
but it takes a lot of work to let go. Once I let go, I'm good.
Okay.
But in singing now, singing is a different beast, I think, than acting.
Right.
It's the same concept though. You have to get immersed and let go, and it's not as easy as it looks. Some people tell me, they say, "Oh, Julio, how did you make that? You look like you were just having a good time up there." I'm like, you have no idea how nervous I was. But of course, I'm not going to show you how
Right.
nervous I am.
Yeah.
You know, I just, the second I touch the mic is the second that I'm able to let it really go.
Wow.
But up until I touch that mic or sing my first note, I'm going through it.
You know,
I'm good.
it's like the same thing when I'm about to preach. I call it the 12 feet. You know, when you walk where I'm sitting to the pulpit, you're just going, it's got to fall into place. It's got to
Yeah,
fall in place.
yeah.
And then somehow you just go into a zone, I think, that you do it. So let's go back.
I'm not going crazy by the way. I'm swatting. I'm swatting things.
No, it's okay. You know,
I feel like I'm a live open banana or something because it's
no,
gnats
that's
all over
okay.
the place.
You just be honest. The U.S. Postal Service was delayed in delivering your medication. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I have to say. So
Oh my goodness.
not Julio's fault. It's just his medication hasn't arrived.
Yes. So if you see
So
me do that, it's okay.
so tell me about now you were married before, right?
Yes, I was. Yes.
So tell me about that. How you met your wife?
Well, I met my wife, and she's a wonderful woman. Not wonderful for me, obviously, but or else we'd be still married.
Right.
But she's wonderful in herself because she's a wonderful mother as well. I met her as she was my my one of my friends' cousins from
Right.
UCLA, and my friend said, "Hey, you know, we're going out tonight. Can you do me a favor and pick up my cousin because she lives near you?" I said, "Sure." So I picked her up, or actually, she picked me up.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that's what it was. She said, my cousin's going to pick you up so we can go to X, Y, and Z
Okay.
place or whatever.
Right.
And it was a Panamanian thing. And so she picked me up, and she was with her brother, I think, at the time. And we all went out. We had such a good time. And
Right.
she and I clicked, and we just, you know, really enjoyed each other's company at the time. And I used to, you know, like to eat.
Right.
So I still like to eat. And she would
Right.
cook, and so we just kind of connected, and we just stayed connected, and for about 3.5 years. And then, of course, we got pregnant, as they say.
Right.
We got pregnant, and we had our first child. And I thought that I had to be traditional, so I said, "Don't cry. We're going to go to Las Vegas, get married." Why did I think we had to go to Las Vegas? I don't even know. I didn't know you could still get married civilly here in California.
Yeah.
But I was like,
It's the same 45-minute wait.
Yeah, yeah. But I said, we're going to go to Las Vegas and get married, which is what we did. We went to the Candlelight Chapel, which is no longer there. They tore it down.
Okay.
And then we got married, and I thought that was going to be, you know, that's what I wanted. And my mother went with me, and my best friend was with me. I wish somebody had told me, you don't have to get married, you know. You don't have to get married. Because I felt like I had to. That was that God guilt.
Right.
I wanted to do it right, you know, like my parents did it.
Right. No, that's an important, that's an important aspect. And one of the things that I admire about you in the 15, 17 years I've known you, you have never said anything negative about her.
No,
No. Usually most people, you know, when they talk about their exes, it's always like a tearing up. But one of the things is, I think, and I've never met your ex, but man, you have two of the most beautiful daughters on the planet.
Oh, yes. Those are my girls.
So even if the marriage didn't last, you got some strong women in your life.
Yes.
Tell me about your daughters.
I love it. I love talking about these girls because they're so much better than me and their mother put together. And I don't think the mother would hate that I said that.
Right.
Because these are two girls that are college graduated. They love God. Mm-hmm. They keep me on track. They're intelligent. They're respectful. They're beautiful inside and out. And they are also very daring, more daring than I am or than their mother is in some aspects. I'm the most daring in some ways, but they're most daring in being in pursuing what they want to pursue. Right. Whereas, you know, I'm daring in acting, I'm daring in singing, but I'm not daring in some other areas. So Marilei, she's 26 right now. She just turned 26 August 3rd. And Natalia turned 24 August 16th. Okay. So they, Marilei's in marketing, and she decided to leave the state. She went to Philadelphia and studied at Temple University.
Did that break your heart?
Not at all, actually. Okay. I mean, I was like, you want to go out of state? Go. Of course, her mother was like, you know, she's like, no, my baby. I'm like, let her go.
Yeah.
She went and she spent 4 years in Philadelphia, and she went through all the snow and the blizzards and the cold and the rain and everything. And she got her degree and she came back to California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, let me, this would be a good lead in because I want to show something else in this interview.
Sure.
About 15 to 17 years ago. And I don't know, I call it a white boy naiveness sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I've seen it before.
And so it was about 15 years ago when we were doing the Grace Avenue. If you remember, you came in and you were late for the rehearsal, about a half an hour late or 40 minutes late. Mm-hmm. And you were aggravated, and I still remember this conversation. And I said, Julio, you're late. And you go, I know, I got pulled over. And I said, and I'm thinking, oh, what did he do? So I said, where'd you get pulled over? And you said somewhere like Bel Air or Beverly Hills. You were driving through it.
Right.
And I said, what'd you get pulled over for? And you said, nothing. And here's this naive white boy that says, I've never got pulled over for nothing. And you went to me and said, because you're white. And the thing is, I remember when you said that, it just hit me so hard.
Yeah.
And it changed my perspective to who I am now. Yeah. Because that was a vital change in my life when I went, oh, shoot, I never thought of that. Mm-hmm. Because I never thought of it, it never affected me.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't affect me, it's not a thought. And so, because I love you and I care deeply about you, it just goes, they don't know Julio. Why would he get pulled over? Why would he do this? And I think because your daughter, or one of your daughters, both of your daughters are really into the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And I want to show a clip because this is one of your daughters that happened to be protesting.
Yeah.
during the Black Lives Matter, and this is her being interviewed.
I think we're just so tired. I think the part that we have to like papers that Black Lives Matter is so sad that we're doing that in 2020 because I feel like that should be a given. So we're so tired of having to stress people that like people out here and seeing our allies. Finally, just talking behind us and rallying behind us is so helpful because that's where we are tired. And so it's just this is beautiful to see everybody here support us.
Okay.
I love that girl.
Now, the thing is, where did she get this from? How did this, I mean,
I don't know, because they told me they were going out there. I said, wait, I'm okay. They just said, we're going. I said, oh, okay. So I didn't even know that they were that much into being activists. And so it made me proud to see them go out and do that. And it made me proud to hear them speak.
Right.
And you know, what she said, and my family my father was African American, my mother's is Panamanian, and their mother's Panamanian. So for them to join out and go out there and speak on Black lives,
right.
we're not just talking about Black, we're talking about the African diaspora, right? Because you look at me, you might just say, oh, he's Black, or you may not say I'm Black or whatever, or somebody may say, he looks like he's Black, but he has something mixed, or whatever it is. But we're part of a diaspora of people that have been targeted by authority figures as what's the word, criminals or criminalized, basically, right? Because of a darker skin hue. And how much sense does that make? Because my skin is darker, that I have been criminalized. So for my daughters to go out there and stand up for Black people made me feel proud that they see the bigger picture, not just about, just not just saying, well, I'm actually Panamanian, or I'm actually not, whatever, but we're all of an African diaspora. We are Black people. And the funny thing is that I struggled with that because people used to tell me in school, oh, your name is Julio? Yeah, your name is not Julio. Come on, tell me your name is not, your name is not Julio, is it? And I'd say, yes, it is. And then they'd say, well, you're not even Black. You're not really Black. And I'm like, wow, that was what I used to be told as a kid. And so
that was your name. You're not Black.
Because of my name, because of my experience, having a mother that speaks Spanish, and even though my father was Black, he's from Alabama, South, right? I still, because I had something extra, I was not Black. So saying all that to say, it just made me feel proud that my girls are out there supporting a cause and a movement that it's not about, you just saying only Black people. But like she said in the video, she says to see our allies here, but she said, because we know and we are tired.
Right.
So it's about time that everybody else joins on and starts lifting the weight as well. Right. So that just made me really proud.
And
Natalia.
It seems like your children's generation are the ones that are almost like the 1960s generation, where they're willing to, get in harm's way and willing to, get in the fear of gas or whatever that means. Does that get you nervous as a dad?
It does a little bit. Yeah. But you know what? I talk to my girls all the time. I talk to them about what's out there. I talk to them about boys. I talk to them about crime. I talk to them about diseases. I talk to them about everything. So I can't talk to them any much more. There's nothing I can do to keep them from being in harm's way, except give them the information that I have. So do I get nervous and do I get scared? Yes. But do I worry about it? No. Because I know I've talked to them, and I also know that their faith is stronger than ever right now.
Yeah.
So that's what comforts me, really.
No, that's good. 2 more questions, and that's it.
Sure.
The first of the second questions are, 31 years old. You said that you discovered, and I sense that you discovered your walk with Jesus different, from guilt to what? What happened when you were 31 years old that all of a sudden you didn't have to live with the shame or guilt?
I started focusing on myself.
Okay.
I started focusing on Julio, what Julio wants, and loving myself. And a lot of it had to do with me not being married.
Okay.
Because I'd given up until 31, I'd given to my younger brothers being their father figure. I'd given to my wife, I'd given to my kids, but I'd never given back to myself. So when I started giving back to myself and loving myself and saying, looking in the mirror and say, you know what, Julio, you're okay. You're okay.
Right.
That's when I started realizing that it's okay, really. That it's okay.
It's almost like your perception of yourself changes.
Yeah. I didn't love myself the first 18 years of my life. I mean, you're the first person I'm going to ever, wow, should I say this?
Yeah. I don't want to edit these things. Trust me. And people know it. I'm the first.
Well, you know what? I just felt so depressed when I was up until 18 that I asked God one time. I said, God, please take my life.
Okay.
I asked for it. You know, and I even wrote it down. I wrote a letter to God in my journal. God, take my life.
Wow.
God, I don't want to live anymore. God, blah, 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 blah. And then he didn't do it. I woke up the next morning. I said, thank you, God, for not taking my life. Thank you, God, for not taking my life.
But you know, and the thing is, you're right, because sometimes the way you're brought up has everything to do with how you see yourself.
Yeah.
Especially within the religious institutions. You know, even with a religious, the way I grew up, it's just a big difference. So we'll go from when you were 18 years old, take my life, and I want you to read something, because what I did, I took a post that you posted a few months ago, and I think, wow, there's a big difference from somebody that's at 18 years old that was struggling with shame and guilt.
Yeah.
And wanting the Lord to take his life. Because for me, I get it. You know, I'm too scared to kill myself, but the Lord can take me. You know, however, so this is, I just kind of clipped and pasted. And I was wondering if you don't mind reading it and then explaining to me what was in your heart when you wrote this.
No matter what deed I have done, no matter what words I have said, no matter what sin I have committed, no matter who I have hurt, no matter who I have been hurt by, no matter where I have been that I should not have been, no matter what intoxicant I have tried, no matter who I have given my heart to or taken a heart from and torn apart, somehow I still believe in the redeeming power and forgiveness and covering of God. I cannot deny the feeling I get when I'm comforted through prayer and song. I will never be perfect, and I will continue to make mistakes. But what really matters is that moment before I see him. And I pray that he gives me the micro millisecond to reaffirm in my last breath that he is my Lord and Savior. Let us judge not, but love all.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, when you wrote that, I'm thinking, he didn't write this. There was some.
I can write.
You know,
because I'm black. Because I'm black.
Because I'm black. Is that what you said? Is that a racist statement?
Wait. It's because I'm black. You don't think I can write?
No. Oh,
No.
That's good. That's good. Now, you should, am I turning bright red?
You are.
Yeah.
You're about to implode.
And implode. But to me, that's so powerful, because the mantra for our church is only love, no judgment, only love. And that's how you ended it.
Yeah.
And I think that has, when I was reading that, that's exactly what the change is no judgment, but feeling and accepting and feeling loved by Christ.
Yeah. And that's what I just want. I want to be about love right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about, I just really want to be about love. I can't express it enough.
Yeah.
I don't get certain things in society, but
Right.
I want to love people.
Right.
I want to understand. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in our world that seems a little bit different.
Right.
It could be crazy to some. It could be, you know, people that have chosen other lifestyles that you don't get, that or chosen to change or do things that you don't understand. But I just want to understand why people do it so that I can love you through it. And
Right.
I want you to love me through whatever I'm doing. It's like, if I want to straighten my hair or curl my hair or change my skin or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, I want you to love me through it.
Yeah.
And just understand that I'm coming from a place of love, not from a place of hate and evil.
Right.
And so I just really, and when I wrote that, I just really had that, at that point, understood that no matter what I did, I'm wearing an armor of self-confidence and self-esteem right now that allows me to be bulletproof.
Right.
You know, I may have a little inseam right here where a bullet may get in, but it's not going to shatter my whole chest like it used to.
No, exactly. And if you come out of love, and that's what the gospel talks about, it's known as the good news.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Julio. I really appreciate you talking to me and podcasting me and joining my podcast, I mean. And so if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it. And thank you, Julio. God bless you, and you have a great week. Bye-bye.
You have a great one. Thank you so much. You're my friend, my lovely pastor, brother, white boy, everything. You're all mixed up in one.